Live from checking the tracking updates, it's the HotSpot, and now here's your host, Master Vinny Caravella.
Checking tracking updates. I like when they say that you can do the live tracking, and then you can watch where the truck is, and then you can stalk the truck on a map.
Yep.
And be like, well, how many deliveries could there possibly be today? This should be within the next 10 minutes, and it's never. It's always like an hour. Whenever you think it's 10 minutes, it's always like an hour.
You ever close the loop on that when you're tracking it on the map and just go out and wait for them before they get there?
No.
Yeah.
No. And wait, like meet the truck halfway, or like
He's standing there in front of the door when they show up.
Oh, that's creepy. No. But
I was waiting for you.
I really need these filters for my fish
Where's
tank.
my
You brought my
package?
pornographies.
I almost went to go meet a truck once, but then I said that's too much. I didn't want to bother that guy. He's they're doing their job. Doesn't want somebody coming up to him because
They got enough going on.
it was
No
Scorponok.
one coming up to him these days.
No, not yet, especially with that. Hi, Jeff Gersman.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right.
What color are you? What color are you rocking on your headset today? What do we got in the ring? What do you got? Yellow?
Orange.
I don't know.
Wait, are those actual lights?
Yeah.
Oh god, I thought they just looked like lights. I didn't think
No,
they'd
I
go
can,
as far as actually putting.
Oh yeah,
RGB
they're actually like
straight up RGB
pulsing,
on
aren't
there.
they?
Let me see if I can find the app. Do I have the app? What the fuck is the app called?
Lights, razor lights.
Here I've been all this time thinking those things looked like Tron, and in fact they are like Tron.
Burp, burp, burp.
Yeah. That was kind of the I like a nice orange.
Okay. I wish I could see an orange.
I keep typing in okay, what is it? Maybe it's called Blaster Connect.
Okay.
Typing in the name of the headphones,
Nothing. Into Windows. Windows.
Cortana SXFI control. That's
Oh,
what it was.
nailed
Not
it.
Sound Blaster SXFI. Not any
No.
kind of anything there. So I'm gonna open this up. It's probably gonna break all my audio. No,
Okay.
this is where I uploaded the picture of my ears. To get this to map properly on the Super X-Fi headphones.
Oh, wow.
This is right now. I'm rocking FC5E00,
Nice.
which is pretty good. But I can, I think I can.
Oh, yeah.
do that,
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of this.
I'll
I can
call
do a
that
little bit of this.
a blurple. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yellowish in warmer,
A little bit of
colder.
That's a green. That's a green right there.
Okay.
I can do a little bit of this.
All right.
like
I can do a little bit of that.
red.
Okay. That's
A
great.
little bit of that.
That's
That's
great.
blue.
That's just full blue. That's just zero. This is 0000
Nice.
FF right
like
there.
It's like a PlayStation Blue.
Mm.
Brad Shoemaker, you have blue
hi.
headphones too. Are those Astros?
These are yes, the trusty A40s.
Look at you. You ripped your ear right off.
I've-
Wow, when you do
You
that,
know-
you kind of got like a Lobot thing going on. It looks like you should be seeing inside your like mechanical head. Turn your
Mhm.
Oh, that's they see like the gears whirring inside your okay, that's a little. Now you're just being silly. Now you look like
Yeah,
a
who would
bum.
ever do this?
Come on, grow up. Grow
I
up.
love a nice goof.
Look at this goof. Oh, look at this guy. Look
I
at
can
this
do
guy.
here.
Oh boy.
We could do. Hang on.
Okay, hold
These are
on.
plugged into my Xbox controller. So
Oh
there's a whole-
man, he's gonna put controllers on his
thing
head.
I have been using the A40s for years and years,
Yeah.
and it took me most of those years to realize that taking these off makes them basically open ear headphones.
Oh yeah, you don't want
I
that.
can,
Oh
I
god.
can
kind
do,
of-
I don't.
Okay.
They
wow.
kind of can be closed ear and open ear.
Ah,
What? Somebody opened an ear. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Here's your package, coming in hot.
Oh yeah. No, that's the airplane just gonna drop it.
Alex, can you open your ears?
No, mine are just regular headphones. They don't open. These are my douchebag headphones because I'm
Oh,
a douchebag.
yeah, giant bomb
So
zone.
they don't do anything cool. Yeah,
Giant-
the biggest
giant
douchebag, giant bomb.
On your
Hello.
douchebag mic arm, douchebag
Mhm.
Wesley Snipes. I'm sorry, Wesley Snipes. I don't.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
I do
Bomb
though.
zone D-bag. I was gonna look for my case for my Astros that I think still have the blur sides on them, which
Nice. That's
good
vintage.
game. Hell of a game.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
had to replace the cord on those a couple of times, and it's getting harder and harder to find because they're very old headphones at this point.
Is it a weird specific chord and not just like a double ender?
I think it's probably a generic double ender, but yeah, the other side, yeah, the triple, and then you get here he's got it. Well, no, see, mine are not
the
that.
triple for the microphone.
So mine don't plug into the actual headphone. My headphones have a cord that comes out and then has 2 prongs, and then you have to have a female adapter that adapts into that, and then goes into your stuff. Yeah, they changed that. You have the later model, Bradley Shoemaker.
I do. This plug has 5 segments on it, if that means anything to you.
There are 5 segments.
It's got
In our first segment,
we're in a ring.
In our first segment today, we're going to explore packages. Who gets them?
Ooh.
Who doesn't get them? A tale.
That's the
Tale of one console sitting on a bed, lonely. My first guess is Jeff Gersman.
Hello. It's great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Video game consoles and the people who love them.
What is on your?
This is
Yes,
this
go
is
ahead.
a complete trick of the eye, but I swear to God, every time I look down at Jeff's camera, I feel like the PlayStation box is getting a little bit closer.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer now. A little bit closer. All right, grab that box. Let's see what's on that box. Show me a picture of Altered Beasts. Show me the games that are going to be on this console.
Oh, I have a feeling you're going to be disappointed with
The amount of Altered Beast that is on this console.
Oh boy. Oh, okay.
Oh my
okay.
God.
Wow.
That
Wow.
is so much bigger.
It got bigger. That was very. Either you got a lot smaller or that box got
Size of the
bigger.
box.
I'm genuinely
It's
shocked.
hot to the touch. It's burning me up.
Oh,
What's
no.
going on?
Wait. I don't want to talk over you when you say that. Say that again so it's clean.
It's burning up. It's hot to the touch. Oh God, I'm burning alive.
Okay.
These consoles are killing us.
Okay, there you go. So you're not going to open it here, but look at that box. It's clean. It's big. It's much bigger than it looked like it was on your bed. I really
Breathtaking immersion. Discover a deeper gaming experience with support for haptic feedback,
Ooh.
adaptive triggers, and 3D audio technology.
Okay. Is that console
I like
rated?
it.
Stunning
Haptic?
games. Marvel at incredible graphics.
Oh.
And experience new PS5 TM features. Play a back catalog of supported PS4 TM games with system update.
Rated E for everybody.
Ah.
Very, very nice box. I like the handle. That makes it convenient.
8K.
Whoa.
Okay.
8K.
8K.
They got 8 of them, Ks?
They got 8 of these Ks. They got
8,000.
4K and 120. And then they
Uh-huh.
got an HDR. They got a
That HDR.
Does it
Astros
High dynamic.
does
range.
it say anywhere on it like HDMI 2.1 required for, like a star next to 120 8K or 4K probably?
Not available in all
Does it,
territories?
yes. Does it say anywhere on there you need a new TV and a new receiver?
It just says it comes with a cable.
Okay,
So,
it comes with the cable. Please use the included cable.
Please use supplied cable. Is it PlayStation?
Well, there you go. That seemed
But the new one.
that's bigger than I
Okay.
thought that box was going to be when it was on your bed.
What level of heavy are we talking about here?
I believe if Jeff Keighley is to be believed, about 14 pounds.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's sizable. That's
For the
it's a-
box itself.
Yeah, for the box.
I think
right.
the
The cable's probably a couple of ounces. The controller.
yeah the weights going around. I think for both consoles put them in the like 9 to 10 pound range.
Hmm.
Depending on.
A lot of metal in there this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
liquid metal.
Okay, I was just watching mail be delivered, but that's not what I'm. Like I do. I
Yeah.
like to watch him deliver the mail.
Yeah. I know your stuff. More on that another time. More on the on
Yeah,
packages and stuff.
The contents of
No,
the
that's the
box.
last we've
We'll
seen
talk
of
about-
it. That's it. Let's put it away. No more.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, and next generation. Wait, when PlayStation 6 comes around, we'll
Glad
get
that
back
one's
together
over.
and yeah,
Mhm.
Whew, made it by the skin of our teeth there.
That's it. That's all we had was that box segment. Segment 2.
Yep. Thanks everybody for watching.
I was gonna talk a little bit about this G.I. Joe game I played that I did not really enjoy that much, but also didn't hate, and wanted to get your thoughts since I know all three of you have a relationship with the G.I. Joe. What is the G.I. Joe game they should make? I played G.I. Joe
Overwatch.
Operation Blackout. An Overwatch, yeah, because mine is a Rainbow Six with G.I. Joe.
No, I think like a Battlefield, like a
Okay.
big, full scale with a lot of vehicles. Like you need to be able to get into a hiss and drive
You do
around
make a good point.
and shoot lasers at things and get in the what was the A10 called?
The Warthog, the
Rattler.
Rattler, yes. You
Oh,
need to
the
be able to get in a
Cobra.
Rattler and VTOL it and fly around
Yeah.
and hover in it and shit.
But see, they can't do a full Battlefield because no human can ever die by gunfire in GI
Ooh.
Joe. It's like it's only
No.
the robots that get fucked up, so they
Ooh.
have to figure out a way for like the Joe grunts to get taken out where it's bloodless.
It's easy. It's easy. So you just set it in the universe of, what was that one episode where they got trapped? It was like the Games Master and they had to work together to beat him to get out of his world. You say, oh, the Games Master is back and he's made a VR training simulator, the nightmare. And the Cobras and the Joes are trapped and they have to fight each other for eternity. And then the laser bolts just hit people and they derez instead of bleeding out.
Okay.
So the Games Master is the one who is bringing this all together, this battle to bear, and it's all in his world. Okay.
Exactly.
But I don't want to. The problem with the Battlefield stuff is like I want to be the hero units, and I want them to flesh out the hero units. So I don't want it to be one of those Star Wars things where you got like five hero units and you power up and then all of a sudden you're Duke running around,
Yeah, like you save up enough points and then you hit the buttons and then you turn into dial tone and then you make a phone call.
Maybe it's like a Battlefront thing where like if you hit a certain like threshold or whatever, you just turn into Destro.
Yeah, but like I don't want that.
Hero abilities.
Yeah, it was like be tailor-made for a class-based shooter.
Yes.
Like, dial tone is your obvious engineer.
Yep.
Lifeline is your obvious medic.
Yes.
Mainframe.
They were doing it. They were doing it before anyone else. They had
your Duke's the all-rounder.
I mean, they have a guy called Grunt. He's right there. They have a guy called Chuckles. He's right there. He's your Dan.
Snake Eyes
your
stealth class. There you go.
That's right. You got your martial arts masters. They're all right there. You got Zartan. You can disguise himself. He could be anybody. You don't know.
Yeah. You could turn into Duke and then be behind enemy lines. You'd be like, "Hey, Duke," and then he'd be like, "Yes," and then shoot you, and you'd be like, "Oh no."
You got Destro, and he'll just sell you some guns on the field.
Yeah. That'd be a pretty good thing.
Guy, like when they have like the in-game loot box, like you buy crates with the currency, it's just Destro standing there flipping a knife, going, "Oh, hello," and then he sells to whoever.
To whomever, he's got to be like whatever side's got the money. Yeah. And then would the Emperor be in this, or this would be pre? Would you have to be pre?
Serpentor, I think you would probably add him post-launch in a post-launch.
Yeah, that's
update.
DLC.
Okay.
Yeah, but by doing it in the fake world of the Games Master, it then lets you have like the Unreal Tournament style, like we're fighting in a kid's bedroom and it's like we're super small. And we look like plastic. It's weird. You could do one level like that,
Maybe one level.
Yeah,
one level.
Maybe one level. Yeah.
But
you want one.
Yeah, you need to have that level in the fake town, and if you play a shipwreck, he just starts having a meltdown every time. Just runs away.
Yeah.
It's got like a
They're all fake.
That's what happens when you kill anybody. Is that it turns out they were synthoids the whole time. That's the alternate storyline.
Okay.
Instead of all the Games Master stuff, everyone is synthoids, and they just turn into goo when they die.
Except for Shipwreck, who just dies.
Yeah. Except for Shipwreck, who's just like, oh, thank God, sweet release.
And his parrot.
At the end of every match, whichever side wins, everyone's cheering, and then you just hear over an announcer, "Duke's okay."
Yeah,
that's right.
And when Shipwreck dies, he say, "I'm gonna fuck a mermaid."
If the Emperor were in it, would he
got weird?
Would he have a special move, like one-hit special move with that snake? Just throw a snake into somebody's heart. Is that an instant kill?
Snake dagger. It's like the throwing a knife in Call of Duty. It's very hard to line up, but if you do, it's you have to stay down until the next game. What would Duke's special ability be? Probably be some rally thing, right? Everybody near you gets a plus. All units get
plus
10%.
Whatever. Snake Eyes.
Everyone temporarily gets the squarest jaw known to man. When they go to town,
and he's resistant to mind control.
What if Duke's ability is everybody gets an extra life? Everybody gets back up after they lose health again.
Good news, Duke's okay.
That's right. His special ability is called Good News, Duke's okay, and everybody just gets up after their health is done. Snake Eyes calls in the wolf, right? Takes somebody down. That's an easy one.
I feel like with Snake Eyes, you would get like an AR cloak thing or something.
Okay.
You know, it would actually be like, here's how to make stealth work in a multiplayer game. It just makes you invisible for
invisible.
A little bit of time.
Okay.
Yeah. Storm Shadow, probably the same deal.
Yeah.
Too
What
similar.
about Quick Kick?
Oh,
Quick Kick is just I guess the ability to shoot Liu Kang fireballs for 5 seconds.
Okay.
Minesweeper. Was that his name? Minesweeper? Was it the okay?
There was a Minesweeper.
I believe so. Yes.
Very specific use case ability, but can detect some mines if they are there.
That's a real. They just looked at like what are military
Yes.
careers
before they
And-
bazooka. Minesweeper.
The guy's got a bazooka.
And when they eventually got to Snow Job, they just kind of gave up.
Well, they had
Trooper, I don't know.
rock and roll. Just has a sick beard. Yeah, I think the Cobras are a little easier, though. How would you incorporate? Would the bats be like grunts? Would they just be like a Dota AI that kind of just swarm the field kind of thing?
Yeah, they're just creeps, just
Okay.
bats, and then GI Joe something. Bat
It's like a
equivalent.
dynasty. It's like a Dynasty Warriors game. There's like 1,000 Cobra dudes that you just fucking cut through, and then fucking Baroness shows up on a
Yeah.
horse, and you have to fight her.
Yeah. Fucking man, nobody's gonna take down the Baroness. Was she a
Nope.
master of disguise? I didn't remember that also, but in the video game they kind of go into some disguise.
They
I
kind of
thought
try
she
to
was-
make her a spy. Like
Okay.
they
Yeah.
kind of try to paint her as like a double agent all the time. Like she's always but,
International
like,
intrigue.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, these are all, I think, more interesting ideas than that G.I. Joe game, which is I don't know if you guys know this. It is co-op, and there are multiplayer maps of up to 4 people. Like capture the flag. I think King of the Hill, some others, but it's all local.
Oh,
Split
okay.
screen,
I was gonna
local
say,
split
do
screen.
you think the multiplayer is better than the multiplayer in GI Joe: The Real American Hero for Commodore 64?
I don't know. The only way I could test it was to plug in 2 controllers and then try to run around for a little bit and see what the split screen was like. So I'm gonna say, from that experience, which is a very similar experience I had to the Commodore 64 one when I was a kid, but about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Lasted
Here's a
about as long.
question.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have. Is there a good GI Joe game? Like actually
Yes.
good?
Yes.
What is it?
It's that arcade one. It's fantastic.
The arcade one? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because I loved the show when I was growing up. I owned a ton of the figures, but like GI Joe video games are something I have actually very little experience with. So I don't know.
Some people liked the NES games, but they came out really late in the cycle, and so I never played them because I was already like playing Genesis games or something by then. And but I remember those. Well, I guess maybe I don't remember those being well liked per se. I just remember them being all over Nintendo Power because there was nothing else for them to talk about. So maybe that's what it was.
There's an Atari
bought
one
a,
where you fight a big snake. That one's that's like
Okay.
Oh, the 2600 game with the big snake? That's a good game.
Yeah.
I'll pick it.
Sorry, what were you gonna say,
I
Alex?
I bought a copy of GI Joe for the NES from a block of NES games that were being sold at a flea market. And it was the only cartridge that did not boot. All the other ones worked. That was the only one that did not work.
Even if you blew on it a bunch?
No, that thing, I looked in there and I'm pretty sure that circuit board has gone to the great beyond. So it's okay. I paid $5 for like 30 games, so I wasn't really that bummed about it. But
I have good news for you. Duke's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. I kind of maybe before I completely exit from everything, this industry, work, before I retire into
This mortal coil.
Yeah, this mortal coil. Before I'm living on a mountain, making spoons. I want to play or make a good GI Joe game. The definitive. My life's work.
It's all been leading up to this.
It's all been leading up to this. To just make. There have been plenty of decent Transformers games, and I'm okay with that. I think those War for Cybertron games. Yeah, I think.
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
There were some
Yeah,
decent
yeah,
ones.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
They-
sure.
they-
Oh
they-
yeah, like in that platinum one was decent. Okay.
Yeah,
it was fine.
that wasn't my favorite. I didn't love that, but
it looked nice.
I thought the first few hours of that game I thought were pretty good.
but those I think
that new one's out today. That Transformers game's out this week.
I have not looked at that, but
Did I hear that's like an XCOM or something?
It's like a tactical. Yeah, it is
weird. Huh.
Wait, they made Transformers XCOM? Really?
That it is definitely a tactical turn-based strategy game. I can't tell you like per se that they are cribbing the XCOM gameplay, but that is the basics of it. is
I mean,
that
it's a
bad.
novel approach.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a
transform
way
into
to go.
Overwatch.
Yeah, like if you transformed, you get to move more spaces, but you're like, if you fuck up, you're left in truck form and you can't fight back or you can't take cover. I assume that's what you would do to make that game.
In the comics, they have transformation cogs, and those can burn out. And man, his transformation cog is burned out. So
He's jammed up and stuck as a truck.
That's right. Yeah, stuck as a truck.
Yeah,
Out of luck. Prime.
My new album.
Yeah, so I think they've got that covered. I still think there's a room for a better Transformers game, but man, G.I. Joe just sitting on a shelf there. I think also He-Man. I don't know. Every time I picture a He-Man game, it's just a beat 'em up. It's just like a kind of walk left to right, beat 'em up. But I don't know. Maybe
it's like Rune, but with He-Man.
He-Man.
Or that Viking game.
Sure.
Yeah,
the Lost Vikings.
Yeah,
You gotta.
Yes.
You gotta.
Lost Vikings, but it's just Manny faces, and then you just turn the face and you take a different ability.
Did anybody play Rune 2?
No.
I had it installed and then deleted it without playing it, but I sure did like that first Rune.
You know, speaking of games that kind of almost sound like Rune and share similar letters, I did play Trine again recently. I've been playing it with my kid. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that game's all right. I kind of like that. Yeah, it's
those games are pretty good.
I didn't get into Trine 2, and there's Trine 3, right? Like I don't think I even...
3 is like a quasi 3D with like depth in the backgrounds.
Okay,
which was not popular.
And then is the new Trine after that come out yet, or
that was like the Trine 4 came out?
Trine 4 came out. Okay.
Whoa, there are 4 Trines.
Hey, sorry, we fixed. We sorry, we know you don't like Trine 3, so here's Trine 4.
The backlash to 3 was so strong that they straight up came out and apologized. They were like, "Hey, we wanted to try some new stuff, but it's clear that you were not interested in this direction for the franchise. Wow. So hey, we're gonna make another one like the ones you like."
Wow,
Trine 4, more Trine.
It was a bad scene.
I missed that scene.
People were mad.
Oh wow. I don't know.
Trine 3.
Trine was heating up the people so much.
Pretty devoted community, let's say. 4 is quite good. It's got some interesting new ideas.
I should check out Trine 4. Yeah. We did the quick look for Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, and it's interesting doing that stuff with people that are younger, like Ben or Abby or Jan, because at some point you're in a place where like, yeah, no, I was kind of an adult when this first game came out and got bought this thing and played it, and here we are. You know, it doesn't have it's outside of that, like, oh, I was a kid when this came out, I love this thing, and it's like, no, I was like 26 or something when this came out, and it was I don't know, it's kind of bummed out. It wasn't you know,
I've been reviewing games for quite a while when this game came out, and I didn't review it, so I don't know much about it. So good on you.
It's weird. It's funny, and it's interesting. But I think that's where we're probably all at as games franchises kind of get recycled and renewed, and we're getting later and later down the timeline. You know, where it's just like, you know, oh, they're, you know, redoing the, you know, all the Resident Evils, and that's cool, but now we're up to like stuff that's like, this came out 2 years ago, you're making a remaster of this. What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know. It's one of those things. It makes me feel old, but also makes me feel like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, you can only be there once, right? You can only be there from kind of the beginning, and you know, not even to say that we're the very, very beginning, but I think we're all pretty much there from the jump of the big comeback of at least video games, like after the crash,
the post crash, the NES era on. Okay,
yeah. What is that? That's like mid 80s,
85, 86,
87.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some PC stuff happening around there. I'm not, but like, I don't count the like, hey, I was playing this on an oscilloscope, or you know, we had a Pong machine.
Well, you should.
Yeah, I should. I don't necessarily count that so much.
I grabbed I grabbed a PDF scan of a video game fanzine from 1984 called The Joystick Jolter, and it's this weird, you know, it's the February/March 84 issue, and so it's this weird, like, kind of mid crash write up of video games, and it's like the lead paragraph is Mattel is getting out of the game business. Basically, like, hey, sorry, this issue was a little bit late. We were on the tip of a major announcement by Mattel. We were led to believe that they were to be leaving the game business entirely. Sure enough, Mattel has completely left the game market. Hardware and software for Intellivision and handhelds are all out. We really thought Mattel was going to pull through it all.
What is the state of Mattel? Are they
nowadays
absorbed? Are they part of Hasbro?
They still make toys.
And Mattel, I think, is technically part of Hasbro, but the Intellivision stuff specifically, I think the rights went to the Blue Sky Rangers, which were some of the original creators of the Intellivision, and some of them are loosely involved. Well, maybe not. Anyway, I don't know what the lineage is, but they were involved with some of the like Intellivision Rebirth for PlayStation 1, like the classic compilations and stuff like that. And then there's the like Tommy Tallarico Intellivision that's coming out next year, supposedly. The Amico. Which they are doing some modern remakes of old Intellivision games that just you look at it and go like, okay. Yeah.
The thing, their heart is in the right place with that thing, but I don't know.
We'll see how that goes.
Market potential is there.
Well, they've got some ideas around like, hey, all these games are going to be like cheap, like not quite phone game prices, but somewhere in that realm, and they're not on the internet, and they got a touchscreen controller that seems like it could be really good for like multiplayer couch multiplayer trivia games or something. You know, it's like imagine if you took you to the Jackbox and just built a console that had the input stuff there or something, and it's maybe that's how it'll go. But at the same time, then they're like, also we've got a new Earthworm or like a remake of Earthworm Jim and some of this other shit. And you're like, okay, I don't know.
Ouya.
I don't know.
Ouya.
It's not quite Ouya vibes.
I'm getting a little Ouya vibe. I'm getting a little, from what you're saying, it's a little Ouya vibe.
Okay. Yeah.
More like Tommy Tallarico.
Tallarico. Is that's not his name though?
No, it's not.
Not Tallarico.
It's like partially his name, but it's also the name of the product.
Oh, I see. That's adorable. I don't have any love for it in television. I couldn't name you Night Driving. Is that is that in television or is that Coleco?
Was a 26. That's Atari. Night Driver was an Atari game.
Okay.
There's Dark Night Stalker.
Is that the one you drive in the dark? Is that also?
No, that's Night Driver.
Okay.
Isn't that the bad guy from Cobra?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Night Stalker.
Cat Trap, the one where you're like trying to get mice or something.
Mousetrap, immortalized on the Buckner and Garcia album "Pac-Man Fever." Was an arcade game from Exidy that I believe came to multiple home platforms in that era. But
I couldn't.
If you pushed the dog button, you would turn into a dog, and then you could eat the cats, and then the hawk I think couldn't eat you.
That's good.
There was a hawk, and then it was kind of Pac-Man, but you had gates that you could open and close.
That's what I'm thinking of. I had a friend. Who had an Intellivision. I'm trying to think if it was Intellivision. Which one had the things you put on the screen that like overlays you, like the
Vectrex?
Was that Vectrex? Damn. Okay, maybe it was a Vectrex then. Which one had the controller that had the number pad that you slot different things into?
That was the
keypad.
Intellivision.
That's
the
Intellivision.
The keypad had and the weird disc.
The disc.
And then the ColecoVision. I don't remember what a ColecoVision controller even looks like.
Are those the sideways ones? The ones that like store sideways in the thing? Like the brown?
No.
And they,
maybe. So the ColecoVision controller has like a joystick and buttons on the side, and then it also has a number pad on it, but there are no overlays for those number pads, I don't think.
Well,
it can be fitted with overlays, apparently.
Man. Yeah.
I love that I am just like a few years younger than you guys, and my life is already so much more simple because we had Atari kids, we had Nintendo kids, we had Sega kids. That was it. You had one of those three things. Maybe you had one of the different Atari systems, but that was it. All this other shit, it had either disappeared by the time I got into video games, or just no one I knew had any of that shit. I knew one guy who had a Master System. I knew one guy who had multiple Atari systems. That was it.
No, it was a buddy that was like a friend of our family's when we'd go to visit my grandmother in Queens, and he lived in an apartment in Queens, and we'd go to his place, and like while the families were together, we'd go sneak off to his apartment because they were kind of near, and then we'd go play on his machine. And I was like, damn, this First of all, I'm from the suburbs. This apartment living, this is wild. I'm 7 years old. This is wild. You just run around this whole building. It's like living in a hotel. And then we'd go sit in his apartment and try and play those games on that weird little funky thing. I did not have an Intellivision nor a ColecoVision. I think our first thing in the house was the Atari 2600.
So yeah, like what in your minds is the first like truly mainstream console? Is it the 2600?
Yeah.
Like, nothing before that truly rose to that level, right?
There was so you could say that like the Pong machines were huge, but there were a ton of different ones from different manufacturers and like different, like, hey, this one plays 8 variants of Pong, this one plays 12 variants of Pong, this one has a light gun with it and you can do skeet shooting. And so like those were certainly around. But yeah, it was the 2600 was the first like big deal. Like you saw Pitfall and you were like, oh fuck. Like when I went to my like, I guess my great aunt's house, she had 3 kids that were older than me, and they had an Atari 2600, and so that was the first place I saw Pitfall and some of that other stuff, and I was fucking blown away because at home we had a Fairchild Channel F and it looked like shit and it played like shit. And but it had some educational games, and so my parents were tricked into buying that over the 2600. And so that didn't. And then the second platform we got was not even an Atari 2600. We got an Atari 400, which was a home computer, because they were like, well, a computer would be good for school stuff, and that ended up being great because those were pretty much game machines. Those are the same guts that went on to form the Atari 5200 eventually. And I have a huge fondness for the Atari 400, 800 line. Like, had a ton of great ass games for that thing.
I think the thing, they were super expensive. Like you couldn't get. I mean, unless people were like loaded. Like getting a bunch of them. Getting all of them at the time. They were not cheap.
That was not a.
Yeah, it wasn't like or at least for my folks, it wasn't like getting the I'm gonna get a PlayStation, an Xbox, and a Switch. It was just like, man, no, we've invested in this Atari thing. Play these damn games. And then we didn't do the 5200 after that, and then a 7800, right?
7800.
So I think we had the 7800, which looks like a fucking future fucking wedge, space wedge. And it's got
the 5200 also looked like a space wedge, but like a much bigger space wedge than the 7800.
Wait, which one had
I don't know why I never thought to look up the launch price of the 2600 was $199.
Yeah,
which in those days was $8,000.
Right. Also, I didn't realize that thing's older than me.
Was it 76?
1977.
Okay.
I was 2 when that thing came out.
Which one was it? Which one had Moon Patrol and Congo Bongo?
All of them.
Oh,
that's
really?
The thing is, like, in those days, like, there were very few games that were exclusives. Like, even Atari eventually started porting all of their arcade games to all the other platforms under the like Atari Soft banner. So like a lot of those games would come to Intellivision or ColecoVision, but certainly like home computers and stuff like the Commodore 64 and stuff like that. So everything was kind of everywhere. And it was kind of the cool thing about having the Atari computers was that they just were so much better than the 2600. Like the 7800 is a weird piece of shit.
I'm trying to look and see if I had a 7800 or 52, and I'm trying to see what the controllers look like. I don't remember that big knob.
If the controller had buttons, had a number pad on it, you had a 5200.
I don't think it did.
If the console opened up and like folded up in the front and you could put the controllers inside of it, that's a 5200.
I don't think it did. I think it was had a smaller space wedge.
Yeah. Okay. The 7800. Like the Atari, I think at one point had the ability. The story that went around was that Nintendo went to Atari and said, "Hey, do you want to put this video game machine we've got out in the United States?" And they were like, "No, we've got the Atari 7800," and went with that instead of the NES. And I mean, Atari probably would have fucked up the rollout of the Nintendo stuff, and we would not be here today. But like the 7800 has the same sound hardware as the 2600, basically.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it just sounds like shit, like all those games did. Like the graphics are like marginally better and and all that other stuff. But the idea that they were putting that out, trying to make it kind of an NES competitor because we were getting into that era, it's fucking crazy to look at. Like the idea that anyone at Atari looked at that thing and went like, and looked at the Famicom that was out in Japan at that point, that they looked at 7800 and said like, no, we got this. Ninja Golf or whatever the fuck. Like, we got this. Like, no, you're fucked. I how good your version of Ball Blazer is, you're fucked.
Like, it kind of put us in as a family, a tight spot, because we had the 7800, and then as the Nintendo was rolling out, the family line was, you already have a console. You already have this thing. And so we were a little late getting into the NES game, and I would have to, I would sneak over to my neighbor's house who had one, play Punch Out and stuff, and be like, well, I think the case was, but if we got that, we wouldn't have to buy a lot of games because we could trade games with our neighbors. And I think that finally pushed us over the edge of like, you won't ask for games all the time. No, we could just borrow games back and forth. And it was always, I remember my mom, she's still, I probably to this day mocks us for saying, but look at the graphics. And she'd be like, every 2 years it's look at the graphics. The graphics are better on this one. Your Nintendos and your graphics. But I am bummed they don't have pictures of games on that thing. Just put the pictures of the games on it. Give me an HD Altered Beast on there. So yeah, but then we had the Commodore, and I feel like that's kind of where and we had the tape player, and that sucked. But once we got off the tape
from
player,
borrowing games to bootlegging them,
getting a box of discs that is just like, you want games? I'll give you games. Just take this little piece of tape off the side of the disc. You can put whatever you want on there. It's that easy. This little punch out on this square notch on the side is all that prevents you from making your own games. And this eagle that'll come and rip your eyes out if you copy that floppy.
The eagle's gonna hold the floppy disk in its teeth and then tell you, and it's in its beak, and tell you, welcome, this is California Games, please insert side 3. And you're like, what? This is a 2-disc game. This is a 1-disc game. Not anymore. It's not. You needed to fit this cool eagle on the disc.
Brad, were you an early NES kid? Did you?
I was also 87, maybe.
That sounds about when I think I got
probably
mine.
About 87, maybe
like
88,
late 86, early 87, somewhere in there.
I think 87-ish is when it had definitely been out for like a couple. Like, I knew people who had it for a good long time before I got one.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like late 86 was kind of the national rollout anyway, right? That was
I think so.
It was the test market New York and LA thing in Christmas 85, and then 86 ended up being the nationwide. Yeah, that was a cool Christmas. I got a computer desk.
Damn.
And I got the Nintendo that had Rob the Robot and all that other stuff. My parents set it all up. They got out there late at night. They built the desk and then put Rob the Robot on the desk and took it all out. And all
dude, that is sweet.
I snuck out at like 3 a.m. or what? I woke up in the middle of the night and then just slipped out there because I wanted to see what was out there, and saw it and went like, all right, cool. And then went back to bed.
Rob went like this. Rob looked at you and went, shh.
Yeah. We're going to spin some discs in the morning. I'd be like, the fuck we are.
Did it have the trackpad, or was it Rob and the light gun? Or was that
this was before the trackpad. The trackpad wasn't until like kind of later, but it was the light gun and Rob and Super Mario Brothers. So it came with 3 cartridges. That was before they had, eventually they were like, we got 1 cartridge. It's got all 3 games on it.
Yeah.
Like the pack-in was like, here's 3 carts, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, by the time I got mine, it was the double cartridge of Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, and it just had the light gun. It was not the Rob one.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Man, the one I got was like a bare console with a controller, and I think we picked up Commando on the I'm not even sure it came in a package, to be honest. I think it was wrapped in a black bag, and
that Commando fell off the back of a truck.
I don't know. I remember getting
like the light gun had some other person's name written on it in marker.
Property of. Yeah, we had that, and then that's what. So just having Commando, which was a fine game, but like with the 3 kids in the house, Commando doesn't pass and play that easily. It was one of those ones. It was one of the reasons when rentals started from our local video store, we were like the first kids on the block to do it. I remember them not knowing how. They just put the game in there, the original manual in a manila envelope, no plastic holders or anything like that. Just the raw game, the original manual, a manila envelope, and we're like, well, I guess bring it back in 2 days. You know, it was like, you know, because that's what a movie rental was, right? It was like overnight or the next day, and it was like, okay, we'll bring this back in 2 days. And was, okay, and that was my first experience playing Super Mario Brothers, was renting it from Adam and Eve Video.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, was Mario, which side of the saloon doors was Mario
he was on the front side, and they literally had
Okay.
saloon doors. Maybe they had to at the time. It was a law. You had
Yeah,
to.
it's the saloon door law of our video store that had the best saloon door section. It was like just outside the saloon doors was the selection of movies that were, it was the steamy section.
Sure.
You know, it was the like, here's stuff that's not quite behind the saloon doors, but you're on your way.
Was that Silver Screen? Was that Silver Screen video?
That was it was a Sterling Video.
Sterling, yes.
Yeah. Right next to the VCR repair place where I dyed my hair once. And for the first time, in fact. And they Keith Sterling of Sterling Video. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say this because I don't want to necessarily say this, but I suspect either he's a shrewd businessman and just knows his market, or he knows himself. But boy, oh boy, did they really stock the butt tapes?
Listen,
I do seem to remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta know your audience.
I assume that's like a know your audience. Like, oh, east side of Petaluma, we got to get, you know what we need over here on this side of town. You want to go to Silver Screen Video, you get your other stuff. Over here, we know what we're going for.
Sterling is the one that closed down, right? And we ended up going and buying a bunch of leftover videos and stuff. I think that's how I got my VHS copy of Dr. Detroit and my DVD copy of Ready to Rumble for like $1.
Yeah, I went over there. Yeah, we went over there and tried to buy some games and some other stuff, but most of the good stuff was long gone by then. But when they were closing down, there was definitely that was where I used to rent all my WWF tapes, like SummerSlam '88 and all that stuff, and I would just copy all the tapes and then just watch SummerSlam '88 over and over and over again. But yeah, they would do weekend rentals, so it was like that same deal. You get a game for like 2 days.
Yeah.
But it would you'd be like, oh, Friday night, let's go pick out a game. And then I would spend a weekend playing a game and finish it or whatever, and then take it back on Monday morning.
We had to do that. We had to go and, listen, I apologize I feel like I was the only kid renting games in my neighborhood for a while because a lot of them, but then at some point it caught on. But you go in there during the week or after school or something and move the card from the good game to the back of a crappy game or some other movie there, so that when you come back in on Friday or Saturday, you got to look behind some shit movie, and you'd be like, Master Blaster's right here, and then go bring it up and be like, so you got to do what you got to do, man. It's vicious out there. Having to ride your bike to the store to go see if the thing was in, and then be like, God damn, it's out. I don't think I was old enough to just call up the guy at TNF Video to be like, hey, is a Solar Jetman in? And that was later. It's a big disappointment, that's a trip. You got to get on your bike and go down there. You got your $2 to rent a game, and you come back empty-handed.
Vinny, honestly, if you're old enough to call the Nintendo tip line, you're old enough to call and check to see if they have something in stock at a store.
No, that era of the Nintendo tip line, they were basically babysitters, and the people that were working at video stores were not. I don't know. But yeah, before that place, there was Eastman Video in town, and they that was, I think, the first place that did rentals, and I would go and get. Yeah, we go get a game for the weekend and some Three Stooges tapes. They had a zillion of them, and each tape had 3 shorts on it, and go get some of those and then have a good ass weekend. But I was renting whatever. So it was rare that I was going in there going I got to get the good game. It was more like, what is here that I haven't seen, because I was trying to see as much as possible, or I was just like, fuck it, I haven't played this game, let's do this now.
Section Z, what the fuck is this?
Box art was, if it had good box art, you take it home and play it. That's
Section Z, in fact, had very good box art.
That was how I experienced a lot of really bad licensed games because I knew even as a youngin that like a lot of those games were not very good. So I was like, well, maybe the Roger Rabbit game's good. I'm gonna rent this. I'm gonna see how it is. And boy, it's not.
Oh,
It's
that
super
game's
not.
that game's okay.
Yeah, that game's all
I
right.
feel like
It's no
I feel like
Ninja
that Roger
Turtles
Rabbit
level
game.
of
I
bad.
never made it off like the second or third screen, or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Like
It's just confusing as
I
hell.
was never
Isn't it
sure
like
what
a-
to even do.
It's almost like an open world game or something.
Kind
Like,
of.
You could drive the what's the cab's name in that game or that movie?
Cabby.
Cabby, I think.
Cabby. Like,
I
can you
think.
drive Cabby all around town, all around Toontown?
I do believe you could drive around in it. Yes.
Also,
it's been
I
a
had
long
not
time since I played it.
I had not seen the movie, so it was like I just had like zero attachment or knowledge of just like, well, what am I even supposed to do based on seeing the movie?
Oh, the movie's great.
It was just like, all right, I don't know.
Classic.
And I remember when those plastic clamshells that were form fitted for NES games and SNES games came out, I was very impressed. I remember the rental store clamshell thing that would like, you crack it open, you got your poorly photocopied manual that used to come with the thing.
That's how they got sued.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Nintendo eventually sued rental stores over photocopying.
No kidding,
I
really?
think they were on the fence about whether rentals were a good thing or bad thing for video games because they want to sell games, not rent them.
Just like streaming.
And so yes, exactly like streaming. So they at one point when every video store had photocopied instructions, they would basically like sue or basically say, hey, you're infringing on copyrights, you're making copies of our thing.
Wow.
And that's why it eventually moved to the like plastic sticker that was stuck on the inside of that clamshell that had someone's like poorly written like one sheet of instructions like hit A to jump, do whatever, like companies were formed around the idea of we need to provide our own instructions to rental stores. There's a market for that now, and they were always terrible.
I did not know that. That is kind of wild to me. They like Redbox still around? They're still renting games? Can you still get a game rental?
I think they got out of games. I know at some point the Redboxes were like blowing out game prices in a way that made me think about going to a Redbox.
But there is still a Redbox at my local grocery store. That thing still exists.
And for DVD, for Blu-rays, I assume.
It seems like it's mostly for movies. Yeah.
Okay.
The website doesn't say anything about games anymore.
Is GameFly still doing game rentals? Can you get a?
I
believe
so. I think it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, it does. Of games and they're doing movies now as well.
I remember that GameFly exists because earlier this year, Wario 64, bless his heart, managed to find one of their sale items, which was them selling a bunch of UMD movies, which really fucked with my brain when I saw that. Like, no, that shouldn't be happening.
Oh, they sell Funko Pops.
Oh,
weird.
Oh, now I know where to get them. Thanks, Brad.
Can I rent a Funko Pop and then return it to them soiled?
So it looks like somebody shoved this up their ass. Yep.
Yep.
Nailed it in one. Wow, good job.
Look, I acquired some butt tapes. I grabbed a Funko Pop, and I had myself a weekend.
Hey, look, I'm from where I'm from. All right, nature versus nurture. What are you gonna do?
I walked into my rental store. I remember I was the oldest looking of my friends, and the guy knew us because our family went in there all the time. And I went to go get one of the steamy tapes. I think it was a steamy tape, or it was like one of those like Faces of Death tapes, or whatever you do. You go to rent when you're like, oh, let's rent something. And the guy, he was like, the guy who ran that store had seen life. He was not messing around. Frank, I think was his name. It was a Frank who had seen some life. And he's like, laughed and then was like, how old are you? And I just looked him straight in the eye and said, old enough. And he laughed and then gave us the tape.
Amazing.
Which was pretty amazing. Yeah, I think that is, when I was a kid, that's how I bought a pack of cigarettes as well, when I worked at the roller rink for a girl who was there. And I was like, I'll go. And she's like, you're not old enough. And I was like, well, let's see. And I walked in and he asked for my ID. And I think I was like 19. And I just stone-faced handed him my ID, my real ID, driver's license. And he looked at it and he looks at it and he goes, I could never do the math on these. Are you old enough? And I said, I was like, it says right there. He's like, okay. The power of confidence. Yeah. That's,
So wait a minute. How old did you need to be to buy cigarettes? If
oh,
you were
you're right.
19?
I must have been 17. That's right. It was
Yeah,
roller
okay.
rink. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. 19. I was way gone. 17.
Yeah.
16 maybe. Gosh, when did I stop that job? 16 or 17. Wow, the story's getting worse as I go. But yeah. And then you just gotta play it cool, you know? You gotta play it cool and just fake it till you make it, you know?
I think
Okay,
that's why.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Number one song that comes to mind when you think of the skating rink.
For me, I've got a very particular brand of that, but I'll let somebody else go first.
Mine is Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh yeah, that one's up there. I would maybe say, God, I feel like I heard En Vogue a lot at the local roller rink. Like, Free Your Mind, fucking. Like that was a good skate song, but I think Poison might have been the one I heard the most.
Okay.
Bizarre Love Triangle.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
And Funky Town. That's my favorite mix.
Okay.
Those put one on each platter and go back and forth. They work well together.
You're the original girl talk.
That's me. That's what they that's what they called me in the DJ booth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. A lot of
DJ girl talk.
A lot of Village People and ABBA in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun job.
They were playing less of the disco in the roller rink by the time the early 90s rolled around. I was not getting, and we might have gotten YMCA or something, but they had mostly moved on to 80s pop and early 90s R&B and hip hop.
I only went to the roller rink like twice, and it was always because I was forced there to go to someone else's birthday party, and I couldn't skate, so it was just like this horrible. I always had a terrible time.
You just played like the 6 arcade games that are there, and skate.
Yes, but like one time when I went, they said, "Well, you can't come in if you don't rent skates. If you're not wearing skates, you can't come in." And so I'm like trying to play pinball while wearing skates, and I'm like almost dying every 30 seconds. I'm like almost falling over and killing myself. Like it was just like it was the worst experience. It was so fucking miserable. That I just fuck that. Fuck those assholes.
Wow, we just really opened something up there.
Your cigarette buying story, like I think I've told the story, but like the cops called me and wanted me to join their sting operation.
I don't know if I've ever heard this. I've known you for a while. I don't.
Yeah, so the cops wanted me to work undercover as teenaged cigarette and alcohol buyers. So this is when we were doing public access television. So we were on TV, and like I had my phone number on the end of every episode or whatever, and so so that people could call in and tell me how good looking I was. And we got a call from the cops saying like, "Hey, we're looking to do," and it was just I should have saved. I might still have the message somewhere because my answering machine took full size tapes. And basically the upshot was like, "Hey, we're doing stings going around getting kids to go buy cigarettes with fake IDs. Do you want to do that?" I think the implication was just like, "You guys are acting like you guys could be good liars." And
did you not do it? You didn't do it.
No, fuck no.
No, okay.
No, I remember listening to me like, get fucked.
Announce it on your public brook and be like, "Hey, let's heads up. They're doing stings around here, so button up."
No, the closest I got to that is when we filmed my chemistry teacher, or filmed the day after my chemistry teacher got fired for like sexual harassment stuff. Like filmed the new teacher's first day
and played it.
Yep. Filmed the principal coming in. So
it's pretty hard. You can't be stealthy with those VHS cameras.
No,
back
I was
then.
Sitting on my desk in the back holding it up. It was like there was no
right.
Shit, man. So this is my junior year. This is why Glenn and I didn't fucking finish high school in the traditional way. We were doing this public access show, and way more focused on getting that show edited and up and all that stuff than doing things like going to school. But so it was just like one day I showed up to my chemistry class and there was a new teacher and the principal was there kind of like talking around what had happened, but it's like, this is going to be your new teacher, and she's here to take over for the guy who's not here anymore. And so I pulled the camera out and just sat on my desk and started asking questions like it was a press conference. and
they didn't ask you to put it away, please?
No. So later in the day, about a few hours pass, and the principal, I am sent to the principal sends for me, basically. And I go and sit down, and he says, so, hey, you were filming that. What are you going to do with that? I was like, oh, I have a public access TV show. We're going to put it on TV. He's like, huh.
Oh, man.
And so we did. And then that's when I think we realized that something had happened. So we called the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
And said, hey, you should watch our show. And because we're putting this on, and so we put them on to the idea that something had gone down, and they dug into it and ran a story and whatever else. And not long after that, they never really came right out and said it, but like at that point I was already missing a bunch of classes because we were so focused on this stupid ass fucking awful television show. Just straight up garbage. Glenn was not going, like I was trying to go to school still. Glenn was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna sleep. They at some point suggested like, hey, maybe you should go on independent study. There's a new program at the continuation high school that's not like continuation high school in the traditional sense. It was like a pilot program that they had mostly started for pregnant teens. But they were like, well, but we want to expand it for, like people who don't really fit into the traditional school system. And I was like, that's me to a fucking T. So fuck this. And so I went and did that, eventually finished high school early and got way better grades than I would have if I had been trapped in real school. And it worked out. But yeah. So then, like, I don't know, years later, this is after I graduated, got my diploma. My diploma didn't say the continuation high school on it. It said the high school that I didn't go to. But went to, and that was nice. Like no records of it being weird at all,
just here
for whatever that's worth. And sometime after that chemistry teacher that got fired shows up at my front door.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. By this time I'm like 19.
How many? Okay, like a couple years.
Yeah, a couple years later. Show long gone. That public access show since been replaced by the other public access show I did, and then stopped doing that one as well. Like whatever. And he wanted the tape. He was like, hey, I'm trying to get a lawsuit going with these fuckers for wrongful termination.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, dude, I super don't have it. We taped over all those tapes because we had to at that point in time, we had to edit the show on VHS because it's all we had. And then we had to take that VHS tape to someone who could run it through a video toaster, like time-based correct it, and put it on a 3/4 inch tape. And then we had to take that down to the TV station or the cable company actually and say, here's the tape for this week's show. And then we'd have 2 of those tapes because they were super expensive, and we would just tape over. And so we had to pay the guy to run it off on a 3/4 inch tape. It was just like a terrible operation top to bottom. Eventually they said, fuck it, just give us VHS tapes and we'll play those. And that made it a lot easier. But yeah, so I don't know. I told him, hey, we gave it to the Press Democrat. We gave it to the newspaper. They have, I think, the only other copy of that's out there. So you probably have to go talk to them. And he was like, could you call them? I'm like, no. Oh yeah, I'll get right on that.
Did you even like this person?
No,
or
did you pay your lawyer $500 to call them?
It turned out later he was married to a former student, which, like, I don't think they got married until after she was 18. So it's like, whatever, but like all the stories around that. And then like my friend's older brothers apparently would go out to this dude's place and party. And by party, I mean, fucking do rails. It's like, those were the stories anyway. Allegedly, I don't want to.
Allegedly.
It's a good small town drama.
Yeah, totally. And it was just like this fucking crazy situation of just like, how did this dude turn up at my fucking doorstep? Like, what actually is?
What path in life were you leading that led to this, and how do you get off of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that path led me here, so I can't complain too much. But
you don't know the outcome of the lawsuit.
I don't know that it ever happened or anything like that. I never heard from any aspect of that ever again.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Y'all have ISS in high school? Does everybody do that? Is that just us?
What does that stand
In-school
for?
suspension.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I was in ISS constantly.
Really?
The last year I was in school. Yeah.
You were one of the bad kids. Holy shit.
Well, no, I wasn't that
I
bad.
was gonna ask if anybody ever got it.
Oh, I got it all the time. And the reason I
Wow.
got it, so I was there by and large for my freshman year, but by the time I got to my sophomore year, I, like Jeff, mostly stopped going. Not for any cool reasons, like I had a cable access show or anything. It was that I was deeply depressed and anxious and had no diagnosis of that, and I was just miserable and just stopped going. And the school didn't really like my explanation for that, despite the fact that I would say things like, yeah, I fucking hate it here and I'm sick, so I'm not coming. And they didn't buy that shit one bit. So they would just constantly give me, every time I missed school and I didn't have like a good excuse, they would just give me ISS. And then I would go to that maybe 1/8 of the times that they actually assigned it to me. That was what eventually led to me getting my GED and just getting the fuck out of there at the end of sophomore year. But
Okay,
yeah,
I apologize. That is a
weeks
pretty.
You had drumming to do.
The
Yeah.
ska alarm was ringing.
That's a pretty benign reason to get that, all things considered. I don't know, maybe we just had different standards, but that was for the that was where people who seemed like they were destined to end up in jail went for us, for the most part. Like people who were full on fighting and had knives and drugs.
Oh, they were in there
shit.
too. They were in
Yeah.
there in that ISS as well. And then eventually, I think if those kids got too many ISS suspensions, the parents were spoken to and it was considered, maybe you should go into the Carpe Diem program, which is, I think, the continuation high school equivalent from my school, which was the one on the other side of town. And the Carpe Diem kids, that's where a lot of the knife and drug kids went.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would back before I got really dedicated to not going to school, which was stuff like, as soon as I got a driver's license, it was a lot of stuff like, oh, I'd leave campus for lunch and just be like, I'm just not going to go back.
Yeah.
This pizza place has Mortal Kombat and fuck my Spanish class. Honestly, fuck my Spanish class. And so I just wouldn't go back. And they would be like, hey, you missed 2 periods, and be like, oh, you're gonna need a note for that. And like, I'll get right on that. And they would call home with a recording if you had missed 1 or more periods during the day. But I always answered the phone, so my parents didn't find out about it until I was way over my head. But like, basically they would give you a detention, and I'd be like, well, no. They'd be like, oh yeah, after school I'm gonna go sit in this room for an hour. How about I just don't do that? And they're like, well, it'll be a 2-hour detention. I'm like, great, awesome. And then eventually that would turn into 4-hour Saturday school, which was actually you walking around picking up garbage. We had an outdoor campus, and so they would basically have you like walk around the parking lot and pick up trash. And I did that like twice. And then at some point it was just like, I'm not going to go to that either. And they're like, well, we'll suspend you. It's like, okay, well, I mean, the problem here is I'm not going to school. So if you want to tell me I can't go to school for a couple of days, that fucking works out for me. So let's just do that. Yeah, I don't know. The thing, I don't know. I think that a lot of, like, people are different. People learn differently and all that other stuff. And it was just clear to me, like now, especially looking back, that just like that environment of fucking like bullies and fucking terrible fucking social circles and all this fucking asshole bullshit was just not anywhere where I was going to excel or thrive or anything. So it was nice to get my diploma and get it early. I got it like 2 weeks early or something. And then to be able to go back to campus and talk to like the one teacher that I actually liked and say like, hey, I did it, and show him my diploma. He say, hey, I graduated today. And then have him just go like, God damn it, you beat him. and then he retired. I was just like, yeah, right on. I'm like,
yeah, when I got my GED, I remember, or the equivalency exam, whatever the fuck it was called. I remember I got it, and then I had to go to my school one last time, and I had to get all my teachers from that year to sign off on this card that basically said, okay, you're cool, you're free now, go into the world. And all of my teachers were super cool about it. Like, they were real nice. They were like, yeah, great. Look, we understand. Doesn't always work out for everyone. Hopefully you have some plans, things you want to do. Junior college is a good option. They were really chill about it. except my English teacher, who was awful. And she was just mean, and she was a young teacher. She was new and clearly just had no sense of how to deal with any child that did not just do exactly what she told them. And she was like, honest to God, almost made me want to never write again or do anything because she was just so miserable. And I remember I brought her the card and she looked at it and she looked me dead in the eye and she's like, what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, I don't know. I just need you to sign this. What are you doing? And she was just like, well, I hope you make something of yourself. And I would just like to say to Mrs. Smith.
For those listening to the podcast, he is doing the double bird to Mrs. Smith. Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
I had an English teacher who I believe was also named Mrs. Smith, and she was older, and she was the worst person, one of the worst people I have ever had to interact with on a somewhat regular basis. And it was like, I think in some ways though, instead of feeling like I never wanted to write again, it was like writing out of spite. And I was writing stuff that got her angry, and she would give me 0 points for it because it was abrasive and lewd and all this other stuff that I was just like, no, fuck. Oh, you want me to write a page a day? Here you go. And just like, get it out. And, yeah, it was, I think it turned into a spiteful thing of just like, no, I actually can write, and fuck you. She was
Spite
the
is a
fucking worst.
it's a terrific motivator.
She was the fucking worst. And it is like, there was her, there was like the band teacher who like sucked all the life out of playing music, like the enjoyment inherent to playing fucking music, because he was so competitive about like, we've got to win the high school whatevers, the marching band, this and that. And so it all became about like competing to who could be the first chair saxophone player. I was like, like in junior high, I used to hang out in the band room after school with the cool Hawaiian shirt wearing jazz teacher. and we would, you know, he would teach jazz band in his off time and all this other cool shit. And it was so much fun. And then my freshman year, getting into this other situation with this asshole, and just like, oh, you're fucking garbage. This is fucking terrible. And I just stopped going to the class. I was like, I didn't even drop the class because I would have to go in and face him and say, fuck you, I'm leaving this class. I didn't want to see him ever again. Like I left my saxophone in the band room for the rest of that entire year and came back and got it on the last day. And he's like, I knew you'd have to come back. I was like, fuck you, asshole. Like, just fuck you.
I've been waiting
what
for you.
What a piece of shit, man. Fuck. Like
high school is a fucking shitstorm. I suspect it is worse now, probably. I imagine with the internet and the ways kids can maybe they're
cyberbullying.
Maybe there are more maybe there are more options for kids now. Maybe a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about is at least acknowledged in some places. But like, for better or worse, I don't remember much before. I don't even remember college. I don't remember much high school at all. It's all a big blur. It was a fairly big high school, so it was pretty easy to just kind of melt away and kind of sit in. But when I think about it, it's like the adult now that you're on the other side of it, when you're an adult, thinking about like, oh right, these are not necessary. These are professionals, but they're just people who are trying to figure it out with problems of their own, who are trying to give guidance to kids that do not give a fuck, and are just basically like academics. I speak very generally here, but academics a lot of the times are tertiary in that world of high school. You're dealing with other kids, you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with like bullying, you're dealing with, fitting in. And then you got to sit and try and like, listen to a Spanish class as some teacher thinks that this is the biggest thing of your day, when after this class, you have to worry about this kid who, or the situation that's happening in next period. Man, I do not fucking miss high school at all, and I had a just fine time floating across the pond there in high school. I
feel like, and I don't know if I've softened on this over time. Maybe I haven't, but I feel like like people who like came away from high school saying like, I really liked high school, are part of the problem.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think you're wrong. I don't.
They're the people that are like, all right, we're gonna have a big, the whole company-wide get-together on Friday, and everybody do the
Yes.
like. They're the people doing that shit now.
There's just a There's just a seamless transition from like pep rallies in high school
to Wig
straight
Bowl.
into like team building exercises. And
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like, fuck you. I'm here to do. I'm here to fucking do work. I'm here to do shit.
It's like nothing but fucking khakis and dentistry degrees in their future. Like that's just the world they're gonna live in.
Yeah. I can't. I had one bully incident in high school. I was a fairly big kid. I was fine. There was one like super
offensive lineman, weren't you?
Offensive lineman up until varsity when they said you are no longer a lineman and you're not starting anymore. And there was one super senior who tried to fuck with me, and that sucked. And you see the kid in the hall, he's gonna fucking stare you down or give you shoulder bumps and try and pick fights. But pretty benign. Like, so I can just cruise through, do my stuff. And I honestly, I just don't remember much of it. No offense to the good friends and stuff I had there, but I was really lucky. My close friends, we just fucking played video games. Like we go to the parties once in a while, but I never really enjoyed them. I didn't really love the social climbing or any of that stuff. I kind of still don't. I'm not very good with that stuff. I kind of suck at it. And luckily kids that were near me, we just would play Mortal Kombat in a basement and be cool with that and had a lot of fun, got into a lot of trouble, did normal shit, but didn't really engage in a lot of the weirder shit I saw on the fringe of high school, like the weird fucking outskirt stuff. So I feel pretty lucky. But when I think about it now, there are so many forks, and I bet everybody has this. There are so many forks where you could have gone one way or another, and your life would be completely different from those fucking 4 years, right? Where you're like, oh, people who went to this party, this is where that kid, fucking died or something. And, people who didn't go there, or like, oh, I didn't get in with this crowd, or, went this way. Which is, when I think about parenting now, not to get too serious, but it's like, I think the biggest thing is just like self-confidence. I think it is the ability to try and make the right decision without feeling like your fucking life is over because you didn't do that thing. Right. And I think that peer pressure it's fucking immense. It's so much at that time.
I will say, for my part, I was a kid that was very much bought into the notions of this is the process. You trust the process. You go through the process like every other kid, and eventually you will get to college, you will get a job, you will do your life, and that's how it's all supposed to go. And by the time I got to like junior high and high school, especially like later junior high and high school, like I started to realize by then finally that like, oh, these processes are fucked. And actually lots of kids can't deal with this. I'm having a hard time with this. And it was the first, I think that was kind of the moment in my life where I started to awaken and realize that like, oh, it's not a fucking treadmill. Like, yes, lots of people will go through this and they will have a very paint by numbers kind of process through all of this. But for me, I realized all of a sudden, oh, this isn't going to work for me. And it was the first time I felt like I was actually starting to push back against some of that stuff and like stopped. Like it would have been unheard of for me a few years prior to that to skip school. Like I was just not that kind of kid. I didn't do that kind of shit. And then as soon as I realized I could just do it and the consequences, I could to a degree kind of just ignore them because, I was in a family situation where my parents were not like putting that much pressure on me to go to school or what have you. It kind of changed my thinking in a lot of ways and kind of like opened me up to some possibilities. Like I'm not saying what happened there was all good, but it did kind of wake me up to the realization that like it is possible to push back on some of these things and you can find a different path that is not just the one that is like drawn out for everyone.
Yeah, I think for me it was, again, it was just like this more spiteful kind of thing. Or it was the realization that like a lot of school is just babysitting these kids, and I think once I learned that the schools got paid based on attendance. Like I think a teacher finally said, like, you're missing all this school. The school's losing money because you're not coming. Like once I heard that sentence, I was like, oh well. Fuck this place. Like, I don't want you to make money. You are a fucking nightmare. And it really incentivized me to not go to school. That basically is what it did. It was like this feeling of just like, I don't want you to make money off of any of this. This place is a fucking shithole. And it was fine. Whatever. Not shithole is a strong word. And the people that were the biggest bullies, I think, over my school career went on to be in and out of jail a lot, as I understand it. But yeah, that was it for me. It was like, and it was also this feeling of just like, when I was 16, I started going to video game trade shows and doing all this other stuff. And so it was like this feeling of just like, there's something to this. There's probably there could be a job here. This is kind of like, it was the first time when I kind of felt like, hey, this is what I want to do. Is there a way for me to do this? And I want to try to pursue this. And so it was this weird conflicting thing of like, well, I just want to go to CES and play Mortal Kombat 2 on the SNES, but you keep telling me I have to go to school. And I went through a phase where I was just like, when I was doing all that independent study stuff, where I was like, well, let me just get my GED and be done with this. And then the principal of the continuation high school that I had to talk to about this stuff said like, well, hey, never let school stand in the way of a good education, which was like a good, like resonating sentence. But also then that was backed with, but also you realize like you're going to take the GED and then the results take a long time to come in and you're going to have to still be technically in school that entire time. And so it was like the window that I was trying to finish up by to go to Las Vegas and play video games, it just wouldn't have worked out anyway. So I was just like, all right, well, I just have to graduate before then. And that became the motivator of just like, that's when I did things like did an entire semester of senior year, like science in my parents' hot tub in one day. It was like stuff like that, where it's just like, no, give me the book. I'm going to read through this whole book and answer all these questions. And then you're going to quiz me on it. And then you'll give me 5 credits and we'll move on to the next thing. And I really started just trying to wrap it up and get done. And I can't say I learned a lot, but I don't know that I would have in regular school. Like it was, so I've seen other people like talk about this a lot recently. And it's this idea that like when you get into like the gifted programs as a young child, it can actually really fuck you up. And that actually made a lot of sense to me. I was in something called GATE, which was gifted and talented education. And it was like one day a week, instead of going to regular ass school, we went to some other school and did like marine biology or played with magnets or, like did all this cool shit. So there was that. And then in kindergarten, I went to like Montessori school and they taught us how to do like long division and shit like that in kindergarten. And so that ended up turning the 6 years of elementary school into, I already know this shit. This is boring as fuck. What the fuck, and it led to me getting super fucking lax and then getting into the junior high era where it was like, they expected me to be doing the work instead of just looking at me and saying, you know what you're doing. You're good. They were like, prove it. And I was like, fuck you. I don't need to prove shit. Which is probably an attitude that is still, now that I think about it,
maybe still there a little bit, these days, especially these days. And it really turned into like, oh, well, now I'm getting like D's and shit because I'm just not doing the work because I like at some point came to view myself as above it. Which is probably not a great attitude to have, but I knew that shit and didn't feel like I needed to prove it to teachers. And so the independent study stuff ended up probably being the best thing for me because it was like 2 really nice teachers that were like primarily substitute teachers. So I knew them already from when they would show up. And it was like a really good environment to just sit down and be like, no, I can prove to you that I know this shit. Just let's do it in the right way instead of you just like assigning me a bunch of empty fucking book work and empty busy work and all this other shit. And it ended up being really nice. So that's the thing. Like, now having a kid and thinking about like, what does school look like? And what is it? I guess I don't even know what school looks like anymore. I would like to think it's changed, but on some level, I feel like it can't have changed that much.
I talked to some of my
other than the new math.
Now it has. Right now it has changed a great deal.
Yes,
I talked to some of my younger cousins and it sounds tough. It's tough with the online stuff and the social circles and who's in and who's out and who gets invited to Snapchats and who doesn't and who's posting pictures somewhere. Whether if you zoom in to a pixel, it says "fuck you" to the person there, and all that stuff sounds tough. Brad, you sound like you were a good student.
Yeah, I didn't get into a lot of trouble. Well,
Oh, come on, Brad. Tell us about all the fires you started.
yeah,
Tell us about old man.
The people you maimed.
we already
Yeah.
had that stream this week. Thanks. Let's not get back. Let's not.
You're an honor society kid.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I half-assed my way through school because I figured out that I didn't have to try that hard and could make it well enough. So I spent most of my time doing things other than school. But yeah,
Man,
That was prime video. Like you could either do homework or I could be playing more video games. And I think I chose video games, and I just made it work in the end, but that's not my recommendation for sure.
No,
I was a lot of doing the homework 10 minutes before class started so I could hand it in because I knew I could get away with it type stuff.
I had one math teacher that would just on Friday would collect 1 day's worth of homework and use that to judge the entire week. And so I would try to game it in terms of just like, well, last week he collected Friday, so we probably won't take Friday's homework again. So let's do Tuesday and Thursday. And then I would do Tuesday and then do half of Thursday, and then see which he called out. And if he called out Wednesday, then I'd be like, fuck. And then immediately start trying to scribble out the homework while he was picking up homework from the rest of the class, and then hand it in and usually be most of the way there by the time he was picking it up. And yeah, I don't know. It's a gameable system.
Yeah.
If you can.
I don't know that I wrote a single paper in college earlier than the night before it was due.
What?
Yeah.
If I remember.
Man.
See, that's just like preparing you for a world in print journalism.
That was my entire fucking college career.
Yeah.
do your write-ups, Brad. There's no excuse. Don't do your write. You got to do your write-ups.
This is the morning of when they were due in the afternoon.
Yeah. And now just write directly into the CMS. Fuck it,
dude. Yeah. That fucking that transitioned directly into GameSpot, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
Man, I had to fucking work. You guys are all getting by. I sweated it. I was sweating it I still sweat it. I still have nightmares about stuff due and cramming sessions, and y'all too smart. You smart guys. You got it too easy. Idiots like me. I was sitting there working.
I was once very politely questioned about plagiarism about something that 100% was mine.
Okay.
Which I just had to say, no, I promised this. I wrote this. Yes.
What did you plagiarize it?
No. But I did write it the night before.
It's okay. You can tell us. It's the moratorium's up. You can go.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. No court would convict you.
Dude, I fucking read Paul Auster's New York trilogy in a weekend, and then I cranked that thing out. And that was it.
Did you really read it?
Perfect prep work for the glamorous world of video game reviewing.
Also, that was our term paper that we were supposed to have been working on for the whole semester.
I'm gonna see. Wait, I'm gonna turn off my webcam for a second for the stream. I'm gonna see. I've got a box here. I want to see what's in it for a second. Not a delivery, but talk amongst yourselves for just a second while I stand up. Hold on a second here. If I can do this.
As an addendum to all of this, I will say the GED test, the high school equivalency exam that I took was the easiest test I've ever taken in my fucking life. It was all shit. It was all shit that I learned in 8th grade. Like there was nothing hard on it.
I bet. Yeah. At that point, like once you're at the point where you're taking that test, they're probably just like, yeah, just go do whatever. You know.
I did a weekend of study and I fucking destroyed that thing.
Oh, I don't know if I can turn this camera off. Oh well. I was gonna stand up and go get this thing. I'll just go stand up and get it. Hold on.
All right.
So
I want to see. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So I was thinking maybe Vinny was just like naked below the waist, and this way he wanted to show the camera off to get up and get the thing. But
I mean, he wouldn't be shy about just showing that off.
You're right. Yeah, that's true.
There we go.
Anyway,
this is my high school weed box.
Oh wow!
No. It's got oh my gosh, the stuff in here. Wow. This is
I didn't have a weed box. I had a weed pouch.
This is my high school gold chain and cross.
Okay.
In case anybody was doubting, it's got. Is there a horn on here? No, it's just the cross and gold chain.
It's very classy. I don't think I can do jewelry. I just don't think I can.
Here are
think I can handle
earrings that I wore in high school. There's one.
Were you one per ear?
Yep, one per ear. Here's the other one.
Okay.
This is my high school box.
When you got your ears pierced, did you have to sit and think like, do I want both? Do I want just one? Which one? Like, was there a process?
I got one at a time. The first one was a real fight to go get. I think I got it at like a Claire's or something in the mall. And then I've told this before. The second one was just somebody did it with their name tag at the roller rink because I just wanted it done. Yeah. My high school ring.
How infected did that one get?
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad that we boiled. I think we held it over the oven. My sick ring. I think here's my medal. Oh man, here's my junior high. There's my honor society. My junior honor society medal. Oh, and this is the big one. Here's my big honor society medal. I don't know how honestly I got in the honor society, but they left me in there. Legacy kids. And here, unfortunately, is just one of my letters, which I graduate of my numbers, which I graduated in '96. So it could go either way. I just
nice.
I lost the other one at some point. Yeah, that's all my high school memories in one little box. That's it. Actually, there's something in here. I don't know what it is.
I never got any of that. I don't. I'm pretty sure
It's my ring.
that
went with my.
I'm pretty sure I picked up my diploma. I just don't know whatever did because I didn't walk. I didn't do any of the. I was at CES. I was at June CES in Chicago when the high school graduation ceremony was. And
oh hell yeah! I skipped my high school and my college graduation ceremonies to go to E3s.
Nice, yeah. That's the life right there. You go to any of your reunions? You do any?
No, fuck no.
Yeah, I almost went to one and decided against it. Like
my 20 year was last year, and I didn't go.
I don't know that I don't think I got invited. I don't know if they even reached out to me or not.
I think I got invited to my 10 year. And didn't go, and then I think after that maybe they just said like well he doesn't give a shit, which is not wrong, but I wouldn't mind being invited because there is some part of me that's just like every time I would think it through, be like
I have very little stuff kept from any of my school years, and I definitely don't have anything from high school, but I do have a couple of things. One is my my Little League photo.
Oh.
That was my first year in Little League.
Again, if you're listening to the audio version of this, you check out the video version.
Yeah.
Also, here is me as a very tiny child playing tiny basketball.
You're gonna dunk that thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're as tall as the hoop, man. You're fucking
check out that mushroom cut, man.
Yeah, that's not too far. I practically have that right now. Yeah, man. That's I have my high school yearbooks, and so it's weird because since I was only in like regular high school my senior year for like 2 months, and so I got a yearbook, but it's blank. Like there's no signature, like no one.
Writing in it.
Yeah,
right,
no writing in it. Yeah, like I went and got senior photos taken and all that stuff because you had to do that like pretty close to the beginning of the year or whenever. But so I'm in there, but like never. I didn't go back to like have people sign it or whatever. So it's just this completely pristine senior year yearbook, whereas the rest of them are, obviously like full of all the dumb shit that yearbooks get filled up with. I think Vinny, you should bring that chain back. I think it's a good look.
Thanks, man.
I think you need a lower cut neck.
I got
the shirt.
This is a crew. I need a V. It's a little tight around the neck.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question, but I don't want to offend.
Please go ahead. No, go ahead. Try.
Long Island or Staten Island? One of those, right?
Wow, they're very different.
I know. That's why I'm afraid of offending. That's why I'm afraid of offending, because if I get the wrong one, it's not going to go well.
They're different, but the things that kind of suck about them are kind of the same. It's just that Staten Island has more of the things that suck.
Okay, I think.
Okay. Well, let's just say nobody takes a ferry tour of Long Island. Long Island is the yes. But yes, they both have probably a lot of gold chains. Is my guess. Still to this day. Hey, listen. This is the childhoods that make us, right? This is how it's where you
something like that.
It's not where you were, it's where you are, man. You know what I'm saying?
Where am I?
We're here. We're doing the hotspot. We're gonna wrap it up. Wow.
Right.
Started talking about things that are happening in a week or two, and we got the things that happened 30 years ago. Sometimes that's the trip you take, man. I wonder if I still have weed in this box, dried out bat somewhere.
I know. Yeah.
Is that box full of weed?
I don't know. We're gonna have to.
14 pounds of weed.
Find out at some point in the hopefully near future.
You saw that SSD compartment. That thing is got
people
for a reason.
You're gonna open up that fucking box, and it's just gonna be a bag of dirt with the word "puto" written on it.
Yay!
That's where your shipments are getting all messed up.
Spider-Man on that bag of dirt, though.
We're gonna play the music here. We're gonna get out of here. If you're watching this live, we are gonna be doing a little bit of the Jackbox Party Pack 7. We're gonna swap out some crew and do some Jackbox live quick look today, and that'll be open to everybody. So tell your friends if you're watching this live. Jeff Gerstmann, thanks for taking a trip down memory lane here. Wow, we went deep. We went far into the annals there. Brad Shoemaker.
Thanks. Thank you. Let's never do this again.
Hey man, honor society, right? Bang. You know what I'm saying? Cool kids, right?
School suspension. Boom. What?
Alex,
next week we'll talk about girls. Clubhouses.
Alex Navarro, thank you very much. Thanks everybody for listening and supporting us here at the Giant Bomb, the hotspot here. We will be back next week. Make sure you go check out all the previous week's contents. The
Blob, Film in 40s up now.
Okay. Tune in next week.